Greetings from Scouse Farm. I'm in Woolton on a gorgeous, as you can tell, blue skies day. And this, I'm not going to get too close, I'll just show you the plaque. I won't look through a window because it's now a private property. But I'm starting here at Woolton Library, or what was Woolton Library. And I'll just get in on the plaque, but someone lives in here now. But I didn't even know it was closed, and it wasn't one of the buildings I researched. So I'm going to start at the baths, so I'll know a bit more about the baths and I'll spin you around. But it's market day today, so it's very busy, and these markets, I'll leave a link in the video description down below to all of the markets that get put on in Liverpool, because nearly every weekend somewhere in Liverpool there'll be either like a bric-a-brac market or a farmer's market. I think this one is a farmer's market that they've got on. So I'm just going to walk you over now and show you the bats. And I didn't know about the library, but my friend who gave me a few little tips for video, she's with me. So she's walking behind me now. You can probably hear her a keychain jangling. It sounds like she's a jailer. And she's got a kid with her, taking him out for the day. He's going to be a good boy and not shout on the video as well. That's what he said anyway. There you go. And you can see the red sandstone, which is prevalent in Woolton in this area because of the quarrying. And we're close to the quarry, or what was the quarry. I'm not going to walk you down there because the video was originally going to just be about the some of the links to John Lennon and Paul McCartney, because a lot of the Beatles fans will know that this is where they met, and one of the areas, the main area where they were spending their time as kids. And this, you can see in the background, the sandstone building. Unfortunately, it's now closed, but that's the Bats, and it's a Grade 2 listed building built or designed by Horton and Bridgford in the Baroque revival style, and that was prevalent in the late 1800s. But the revival, as the name suggests, is trying to bring back some of the features of the Baroque movement, which was from the early 1600s through to about 1750, so the mid 1700s, and it emphasized lots of beauty and exuberant detail in architecture. And some would even say at the time that it was like unnecessarily complicated. Just when something was built for a purpose, then they just like pimped it out in modern parlance. So they just stick bells and whistles on it and make it look beautiful. And there's a lot of Baroque architecture in Western Europe, which is absolutely fantastic, in France, Spain and places, I believe. But not being a building historian, I'm not too sure. But this was built as what it says on the top, a swimming bath. I'll take you back over the road again, it's not too good on this side. And there's a lot of people walking around, and as I say, the market's on and the roads are quite tight, but you can get a better view out this side anyway. But yeah, so that was built as a rare example of a small village swimming baths, and it's got a very striking facade that you can see there, and it's all in locally quarried red sandstone. It was commissioned by the philanthropist Holbrook Gaskell JP in 1891, and you can see there the brick parts of it, that's the swimming baths itself. And there'll be a link down below in the video description to pictures of the inside of it when it was in use, so you can see how beautiful it was inside as well. And as I say, it was commissioned by Holbrook Gaskell JP in 1891. It cost £3,300 to build, and it opened to the public in June 1893. And Mr. Gaskell dictated that the bath should be available to both sexes and all classes, which is true philanthropy, because back in the 1800s and even before that, you know, if you were working class as it was, you would never have time to do any leisure pursuits, because when the sun was out and the skies were blue, you were working. So you were either in a quarry, in a mine, in a pit, you were somewhere doing manual labour, so you didn't have time for any of that. But he did mention, Mr. Gaskell, that he wanted this baths to be available to everyone, including the working classes. And unfortunately it closed to the public in October 2010, and it does link into the Beatles theme that I wanted to tell you about, because this was where John Lennon and Paul McCartney learned to swim. So in this baths, that was where they were kids having a little paddle about. So this is where they learned to swim. And it's also famous for the 2004 Olympic bronze medalist Steve Parry. So he also learned to swim, and this was the baths that he used when he was training. And now I'll walk you around. There's the Grapes pub there, and we'll go and have a look at Eleanor Rigby's gravesite. And also, because it's only a 5-minute walk. I've just fell off a curb. It's only a 5-minute walk, but I'll show you some of the lovely parts of Woolton Village as we walk through. And as mentioned there, from that building that you just looked at, the baths, a lot of Woolton is built from locally quarried red sandstone, which is the same red sandstone that you can see in the Anglican Cathedral near the town centre. It is absolutely fantastic, and loads of the houses you can just see up there. It's like stepping back in time going up some of these village roads. And in between all of the Georgian, Victorian, there's a lot of different buildings from different periods of time all across Woolton. I'll just step out into the road, because all of the pathways around here are quite narrow, and people just abandon the cars anywhere if they can get a parking space. And it is a bit unusual in that you're in commercial areas, but dotted amongst shops you've still got houses that people live in, and just up little side streets like this. So everywhere you turn, it's not just commercial, it's also residential. So there's a lot of mixing and matching going on. And with a bit of luck, while I'm walking around, because there's a lot of people, no one will scream out any swear words or anything like that, which often happens when you're walking around filming in public. And this building, I can pretend I've researched it and say it was built in 1936, but that'd be a lie. It's because I can see it. It says 1936. There's loads of bars and restaurants, places to get things to eat and drink. And there's a little Turkish place up here called Istanbul. Which is where, when Liverpool had a good few years of the Champions League, I used to go in there. That was our ritual. Me and my cousin used to go and have an Istanbul there just before we went into the final. And again, look, you just go up the side streets, you've got loads of gorgeous brick houses. Nothing like the modern ones they're building now, which look like they've been 3D printed. You can see the top of the church. That's where we're going now. So we're going up to see that now, because that's where Eleanor Rigby's grave is. There's the Istanbul there. But what a beautiful day. And these markets that pop up around Liverpool, sometimes, you know, it's luck of the draw what weather you get, but this is like a perfect day for them. An absolutely perfect day. There's a little bit of a breeze. You can see down there, if we've got time, I'll just walk through there at the end of the video, because there's some tents down there, so I imagine that's part of the market. There you go. I've been reliably informed that it is. And we're coming out onto Church Road now. And I can see a little fountain over there, so I'll clock that on the way back. And another case in point, you just turn left off a commercial street and you're into another beautiful residential area now. We're on Church Street, aptly named after the church that you're about to go into the grounds of. And that was a pond, apparently a lake. That was a lake. So you can see where I'm about to point down there, that where the car park is, that used to be a lake. Very, very deep, even though it's not used as a lake anymore. They've made good use of it because it's so low, and stuffed a few more car parking spaces in, which is definitely needed when you're in a little village like this. It's not many places to park up. Another example there of some local sandstone. They're fantastic, these ones. But while we go into, or when we go into this churchyard to see the grave of Eleanor Rigby for the Beatles fans, I just happened to be standing next to one of the tour guides, and the notes I've written down from the research that suggested Eleanor Rigby, that the actual grave is why Paul McCartney wrote that song. And yeah, we'll clock that on the way back. But that grave site, the tour guide who was talking next to me, I was like gegging in. So I was like, well, what's he saying there? He obviously knows a lot more because it's his job. And it turns out it's not, or he's not. Paul McCartney's not admitted. So I did read something that said he's admitted that it was the motivation really for him writing the song Eleanor Rigby. And the tour guide who was standing giving an American tourist a little walkabout the Beatles sites in this area said it's not literally that grave. It's a mixture of quite a few things. So I'm going to cut that bit out, so I'm not going to tell you that. But first I'd like to walk you into where they first met. So this is now the Simon Peter Centre, you can see on the front, and inside we've got where where John Lennon and Paul McCartney first met. So let's take you inside. With a bit of beautiful red sandstone at the back, but somewhere in here I've been informed there's a plaque to say that's where they first met. So I'll keep my eye out for that. And on the 6th of July 1957, John Lennon and Paul McCartney met at the St. Peter's Church Fete, which was held here in Woolton. And John at the time was one of the band members of a group called the Quarrymen, which was a skiffle group, which is some genre of music, like folk music. And Ivan Vaughan, who was an occasional bass player for the Quarrymen, introduced his classmate Paul McCartney to the band. And Paul, while he was talking to some of the members of the band, he showed John Lennon how to tune a guitar, because apparently John Lennon had learned how to play musical instruments by picking up a banjo, because his mother apparently was a banjo player. So he had it in, I don't know nothing about music, but apparently John was in the G banjo tune, and Paul McCartney showed him how to tune a guitar to make it sound like it's supposed to, like a guitar and not a banjo. So that, I imagine, is still true, or is true. Just doing a bit of gymnastics, someone just walked underneath me. And yeah, so here's the little plaque. In this hall on 6th of July 1957, John and Paul first met. That was the day that I met Paul, that it started moving. And for all of the Beatles fans, this is like a little mecca for you. And the wind's picking up now. Oh. So that is where they met, and now I'm going to take you to the gravesite to show you Eleanor Rigby's grave, which, as I just mentioned on the way up, has completely destroyed my notes, because everything I was going to say might not actually be true. So I'll just take you to the site anyway. But you can imagine that Eleanor Rigby, the song, there is a grave in here with that name on, so it would make sense for people to assume that's why Paul McCartney wrote it. But there's no doubt people will dive into the comments and give me the version that the tour guides, because there's plenty of people who've been on the tours, so they'll have heard what the tour guides are telling them, which is probably the more accurate story, that it was a mixture of mixing up some names of people that he knew, but also I think he has admitted in interviews that he maybe, because he did play in this graveyard when he was younger, as kids do, you subconsciously, you read in the gravestones to see if you recognize any names. So maybe he did at that time even subconsciously register the name Eleanor Rigby from the grave. But there are a lot of Rigby graves on the front as soon as you come in here, so who knows, I'm sure people in the comments will let me know. But this is St. Peter's Church in Woolton, and it is fantastic, the church in itself. But I'll walk you past, and people are doing tours in here now, because it's constant. So I'll just keep the noise down when I walk past them so as not to disturb them, but then I'll take you around to Eleanor's grave. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. You can see it's constantly popular, people are always here. So if someone's talking when I go around there, I'll just zoom in on the grave, but I'll let you listen, so you get a free tour as well. But look, straight away, we've got Rigby there. So there's Alfred Rigby on that one, and Rigby on that one. And these are the first graves that you see when you come in. And it's John Mackenzie there, that's got some link to Paul McCartney, or no, Father Mackenzie, I think, because that's also a lyric from that song. But Eleanor Rigby herself was born in Frodsham on 29th of August 1895 and died 10th of October 1939, age 44. And as I mentioned before, it was said that that grave was the eponymous song and the reason that Paul McCartney wrote it. But listening to that tour guide before, I'm not too sure. And I'm not really clued up on the Beatles or music, so I couldn't even give a half-educated guess because I have no idea. But the song did feature on the 1966 Beatles album Revolver, and that is where we are right now. I'll just zoom in so you can see the name. I can't walk over there because there's other graves next to it, I'm not stepping on them. And there you see Eleanor Rigby. And she was the Eleanor Rigby from this grave was a scullery maid who, as I mentioned, was born in Frodsham but worked locally and passed away in Liverpool. And regardless of whether that was the reason for Paul writing that song, it's still very important because this was the graveyard he used to play in as a kid. So let's walk down and have a look at the market now. Thank you. And I think you'll agree that the area itself, Woolton Village, is beautiful. Look at the design there on this, again, what looks like a private property entrance. There's loads of, like, I don't know, swirls in the sandstone there, on the gate posts on the way in, and all on the wall, like little squiggly lines. It's the best way I can describe them. I don't know, some sort of geometric. I don't even think it's geometric, but there's no straight lines in them, but it is quite nice. Don't worry, I won't get them in. So let's walk down. The little munchkin's getting restless. Wants to play. Did you know this grave was here? Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. There's me thinking I'm telling you something about where you live.
We used to come up here to school.
Oh, the schools do trips to this place to show it.
Yeah.
What did they tell you when you come up? Because, as I said on the video for people, when you read it, it says this is the inspiration for the song, but that tour guide said that it's not directly related. So what, can you remember what they told you it was in school?
Going back years.
Yeah.
Memory like I said.
Probably just said that's the name of the song. There's the grave, that'll do.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I imagine the school would tell you, but we'll just walk down now and I'll get to that fountain. And then I'll put you into the market, walk through the market once. Oh no, I've got to show you the cinema. Because I have been in this cinema. It's only a one screen cinema, which there aren't many of. I don't imagine in England anyway, definitely not in Liverpool. But I have been to see a film, I can't remember what it was. But I did go in this cinema once. And it was literally like going back in time. It even smelled weird, smelled like old carpets. But I don't think it's in use now, but it's not, is it? It's not open because can you remember?
No, it's not open at the moment.
It's not open now.
They did open for a period of time and then they closed it again. I think they are trying to get it open again.
So it was brought back into life for a little bit and then shut down again. These houses are brilliant. Just put you up here. So all these on this row, this is all residential property, so don't want to zoom in case I go through someone's window. See them having a Monday morning stretch. Saturday even. Can't remember what day it is. Wow. That is beautiful. And we're on Mason Street now, which is a great name. Loads of red sandstone, locally quarried, and the unfortunately dilapidated Woolton Picture House, which you can see is already in quite terrible condition from where I am. Loads of plank growth coming out to the top. But I'm sure the friends of Woolton will try what they can to get this back in action, because it is an asset to just have a one-screen cinema. And it's just a personal thing, but I love old movies, and even like movies that I remembered fondly as a kid. I don't know what the copyright issues are or anything, but I had an idea that if I did win the lottery, the Euro Millions or something, I'd buy somewhere, build a picture house in a good style, or take over a building like this, which is already it's already existing and it's already beautiful, just with a bit of TLC, and then I'd play the movies that I enjoyed as a kid. So, you know, imagine like you want to relive your teenage years, and you can come back and watch a film that you've only ever seen on DVD or on video VHS, and you can watch it in an actual picture house now. It'd be fantastic just to play the old pictures. I don't know why they don't do it. I think they're missing a trick, because I think the last time I went to a cinema, which was rubbish, was to see the last Marigold Hotel, and the only reason I went is because the girl I was seeing at the time was a mystery shopper, and she had free tickets to go mystery shopper cinema in Manchester. So that was the last time I went, and it's not something I'd want to do now, sit in a cinema and listen to those stupid kids playing with the phones and spoiling the picture and all that. There's no doubt that's what's happening. So that is the picture house, and I've done no research on it, but is that a blue plaque there, or is that just something? I'll go and see what this plaque says, because it might say when it was built, and I don't know. Yeah. Aha! That is the centenary plaque from 1996, and it was opened on Boxing Day in 1927. So that's the history, and at least we know when it was built now. But at the moment, it's looking quite terrible. Gives a bit of history.
Woolton Picture House, 1927.
And that's in the door. Sorry, the movie is sold out. All you got there was my reflection, I think. I don't think you can see through the window. So let's go and have a look at the market, and then I'll leave you all there. Go through this way, yeah? Instead of walking back up the hill.
There's the Elephant Pub at the bottom.
And we're popping out now by the Elephant Pub. Is it the Elephant and Castle? Or is it just the Elephant?
Just the Elephant.
Oh yeah, I think Elephant and Castle's in London, isn't it? I can't. That jumped into my mind, I don't know why. Yeah, I think Elephant and Castle might be a part of London. When I was working down that way, rings a bell. My shoulders are now killing. Ta-da. And now we're out into what people refer to as the village. This is the part you drive through from many of the main roads, and this is where they've set the market. So let's have a little walk through the market and see what we can see. Holly House, another good name. And there's the lake that we pointed to before, or what was the lake, which is now, oh yeah, what's this? Oh, that's good, so you get to see what it looked like. Bit of a reflection, but that's where we are now. Where all these cars are parked was a beautiful lake, which is an absolute shame that it's not still a lake. Oh, can't get a good shot without a reflection. That's better. That was rubbish. Oh my god, that was poo. I thought it was a leaf. It's not, it's bird poo. And You can see that's where we are now, the lake stroke car park. And a soldier statue commemoration or something there. Nearly there, mate, don't worry. We're on the last leg now. And walk you through the market now and then we'll leave it there. Gorgeous. Woolton tuition. If you want to learn how to spell, that's where you go. And we've got plants. I think this is a farmer's market, like plants and gardening stuff, which I'll have a good look at in a bit. Fruit trees as well. As you know from my property, I like to grow my own food as best I can. So we've got some
Strawberry plants in our office, haven't we?
yeah, brought a strawberry up to the office so they all can see where strawberries actually come from. There's a lot of the people think it just comes out of a supermarket packet, but yeah, they were a bit confused when I showed them that a flower actually turns into a strawberry. Yeah, it's loads.
I'm not going to see him through the week. I've got like an exam Monday.
And that's the link I'll do, the Liverpool markets there. So that we're in Woolton now, but they have them in Lark Lane. There's a few other places where they put the markets on. And they're usually every weekend, but one weekend they're in one place. So usually, I think it's like the first weekend they're in, for example, Lark Lane, the first weekend of the month. And then the second they're in Woolton, the third they're in Garston. Yeah, I'll ask them in a minute about the picture house and if it's coming back into use anytime soon. And you can see you've got all sorts of different stalls selling everything, food, trinkets, knickknacks, some charity stuff and clothing. And then at the top we come back out at the Church Road intersection, so I'll leave you at that fountain, which will look like an old fountain or something. And that's where we started up there. There's the Grapes pub. But what a beautiful day to walk around. Speaking of strawberries, there's some there in the back of the van. And a great bank building. Oh, look at that. With all of the, I don't know, is that clematis or something on the front of the buildings? Some sort of climbing plant anyway. It's making all of that row of cottages look absolutely fantastic, which is good to see. So there's still a lot of good places in Liverpool which are still looked after. And that used to be a fountain, but it looks like it's been knocked off. So, fountain in stone from 1872. Right, it's been a great little walk around on a gorgeous day, getting a tan. So thank you all very much for watching. Have yourselves a great day on Scouse Farm. We'll see you all again soon.